And we will now start our LCRA Board meeting. In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, I hereby convene this meeting of the Board of Directors of the Lower Colorado River Authority. Today is Wednesday, March 26, 2025, and the time is 11:14. We have a special guest today, Shannon Hamilton, CTWC. Welcome. And I believe you're going to be speaking, I guess this is during public. Okay.
Is it time? Yeah. You ready for me? Okay.
I am ready for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning. It's good to see y'all again. I know it's been a little while. So thank you for having me this morning. Again, my name is Shannon Hamilton. I'm with I'm the Executive Director of the Central Texas Water Coalition. And this morning, I just wanted to take a moment to update you on something that stirred up on Facebook and has kind of made its way through the Highland Lakes and various Facebook pages. The city of Round Rock posted pipeline pictures inside Brushy Creek and talked about the volume and the sheer size of the water that is going to be moving out of our basin to Round Rock, Leander, even Georgetown. So I fielded a lot of phone calls, emails, text, interview requests. I understand Brushy Creek has been around a long time, and at first I thought, okay, this is nothing new, but people, it's brought back to everybody's attention. Water is going to be transferred outside of our basin to other areas in times of drought, and especially as Lake Travis looks today. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. I do try and answer the questions as best I can, explain this has happened from laws that passed years ago, and House Bill 1437 specifically, and that we just have to do a better job of planning for the new demand on our lakes. And then last week I testified for the city of Georgetown at a hearing for the House. And they have what I call the right to brown grass bill. So they don't get fined, residents don't get double fined for watering outside of their times and HOAs fining them because their grass is not green. And the city manager testified after me, and he made the comment that they are close to back to twice a week watering. And that was alarming to me as a resident of the Highland Lakes that understand that they are going to be using our water. So at this time, I would request and suggest that LCRA use its authority that supplying water outside the basin, and that all cities that are benefiting from water from our lakes follow the same drought contingency plans and water conservation practices, and that they are at least as stringent as all of our residents are following. That's a big question that I get. How do we ask our residents to continue to conserve when others outside of our basin aren't? So I just wanted to bring that to your attention this morning, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for those comments. Okay, at this time we will have we'll move into our resolutions. We have one resolution.
Good morning. Resolution of the Board of Directors of Lower Colorado River Authority honoring Carol Cowan. Whereas Carol Cowan retired from the Lower Colorado River Authority on March 15, 2025 as a navigation and waterway management supervisor after 25 years of service to LCRA. And whereas Carol began his career at LCRA on July 2, 1999 as a lake patrol helper in environmental field services. His passion for safety and service led him to water service management, where he spent nearly his entire career working in different roles, including water service field operations, crew leader, and water service management supervisor. He also had the opportunity to serve as a reserve ranger on weekends and during holidays early in his career to help keep hydroelectric facilities safe. While Carol performed different tasks in each position he held, there was always one commonality: water. And whereas Carol was instrumental in developing LCRA's hazard and navigation marking program along the Highland Lakes to make public waterways safer, he designed deployment plans and oversaw the installation of mile and channel markers of Lakes Buchanan and LBJ, developed, planned, and installed barrier float lines at all of LCRA's dams and power plant cooling lakes, and managed navigation aids on LCRA's managed waterways while increasing the number of navigation aids on Highland Lakes from 56 to 1,144. Carroll took the initiative to add hazard lights to LCRA's buoys as needed to increase public safety. Several groups, including the PGA, sought the expertise of Carroll and his team to help with water safety during Austin's events. And whereas Carroll's peers admire his dependability and willingness to help others, he can be counted on during difficult challenges, readily offered solutions to problems, and took pride in serving the public. With the help of his U.S. Navy and law enforcement experience, Carroll always put safety first, expected the unexpected, and strived for improvement. He also demonstrated LCRA's values daily to be a great example for others. And whereas, while Carroll's former co-workers will miss his friendship, knowledge, and positive attitude, they are happy he will have more time to do things he likes most, spending time with his family, volunteering at his church, deer hunting, and enjoying his man cave. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the LCRA Board of Directors and employees, with extra emphasis from Water Service Management, express their appreciation to Carroll Cowan for his years of dedication to LCRA, its employees, and they wish him well in future endeavors. Approved this 26th day of March, 2025.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, start clapping.
Vanessa's moving us, man. You're throwing us off. All right. Okay, Mark.
Martha Lee needs to get a picture.
I just wanted to be in the picture.
Hello. First off, I'd like to thank the Board of Directors, Chairman, and Phil. It's been a pleasure working with y'all. I got allergies, I'm not crying. Also, as Phil read off there, we did a lot of stuff in water surface management and with 0 lost days, and that's because LCRA promotes safety, and that's one of the reasons I stayed 25 years. This place provides everything you need to do a safe and efficient job. A lot of companies don't do that, and that's a big part of reason a bunch of us stay as long as we do. Also, it's a big family. You take care of each other. You know, watch each other's back, see something unsafe, stop the work, and everybody go home safely. And once again, appreciate it, and look forward to seeing y'all down the river somewhere.
Thank you. Thanks again, Carol, for all of those years of service. With the way our lakes have been so variable lately, it's a tall order to mark all the hazards, and there's plenty of them out there. So we appreciate all your service. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to our consent agenda, and we have 2 items on our consent agenda. Do we have a motion? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. And brings us to our action items. First item is our basin conditions update. And Kelly's got some hopefully good news for us. Maybe not.
Kelly just became a grandpa. That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
good news. Yeah, first grandbaby right here. So
I saw
I'll give
Kelly
that
at the rodeo
celebration
last
for
night,
that.
and he showed me a picture of his new grandchild. Congratulations.
Thank you. Pretty excited about that. So,
that may be the only good news he has today.
Don't tell
no,
us that.
golly. I have to start dressing like the Grim Reaper when I come up here. No, I'm going to give y'all a board basin update. Chair Timmerman and board members, if you'll turn, let's see, the first slide here. No. There it goes. So as you can see here, this is a comparison of the drought monitor for Texas between last week and a year ago in 2024. And things are considerably drier than they were in 2024. In 2024, about 46% of the state was in some level of abnormally dry or drought. And as of last week, about 85% of the state was in some level of abnormally dry or drought. And what's even kind of more disturbing is that 13.7% of the state is in exceptional drought, which is the worst of 4 extreme drought measures. And as you can see, one of those bullseyes is right kind of over the Austin, San Antonio area. So if we close in and look at the monitor in our basin, you can see here that the entirety of the basin is in some level of dry or drought. And pretty much the whole Pedernales watershed is in that exceptional drought or the maroon color on this figure. We do have some rain in the forecast, and knock on wood, that'll come to fruition. We'll maybe get some relief. Inflows continue to be low since about October of last year. The inflow for February was a little over 8,000 acre feet, or about 10.6% of the long-term average. And since last October, as I already said this, since October we've had pretty low inflows, and we'll talk a little bit more about how that impacts things like our drought contingency plan stages in a couple of slides. This is a comparison to the medians. Medians are a similar story. The February inflow was about a quarter of the long-term median for February inflow. So it's still really dry out in the watershed. This figure compares the combined storages of Lake Buchanan and Travis from the drought of record, which was 2008 to 2015, to the current drought we're in. And while we're still about 250,000 acre feet more than we were in the drought of record at this same time on March 1st, 2014, that amount is declining, and we need some rain. If we look at our projections for the lakes, as of March 1st, we were at 1,010,000 acre feet. And as of this morning, we were at about 983,278 acre feet. On March 1st, we were well below 1.3 million acre feet, and therefore interruptible stored water is not going to be available for the 2025 season for Gulf Coast, Lakeside, and Pierce Ranch irrigation. Based on the combined storage on January 1st, the guidelines of the 19 Water Management Plan, Garwood will be limited to 18,100 acre feet of interruptible stored water. They still have access to the full 100,000 acre feet that they can get under their water right, but only 18,100 of that can come from interruptible stored water. Keep in mind, last year, I think they took about 530 acre feet of interruptible stored water. So they're the senior right in the lower basin, and as long as the lower basin's flowing a little bit, they usually can cover their needs out of Runner River water and not tap into interruptible stored water. As John, I think, discussed with y'all at last month's meeting, due to the low inflows in December, January, and February, we have gone ahead and entered stage 2 of our drought contingency plan via the inflows test. So we've notified our firm customers of that and via email, and they are in the process, if they haven't already, moving to stage 2 of their drought contingency plans, which the primary thing there is we're going back to once a week watering of outdoor watering. Any questions on any of that? Okay, here's a look at potential forecasts for Lake Travis lake levels. As of midnight on March 1st, we were at 637.12 feet mean sea level, and as of this morning, we're at 636.21, so dropped about 9/10 of a foot. As you can see on this projection, if we get kind of average rainfalls, we'll hang out around 640. If things dry up even more or continue to stay dry, we'll drop into the 630s to 625s by September. And there's a chance of getting up into the 650s if we get some spring rains. Similarly, in Lake Buchanan, as of midnight on March 1st, we were at 1,001.88 feet mean sea level, and as of this morning, we've dropped about 1.1 feet there, down to 1,000.76 feet mean sea level. Projections here are primarily in the down mode because of the situation of the two lakes. We're drawing a little bit more water supply out of Buchanan than we are out of Travis. And then lastly, a look at the lake comparisons between March 1st this year and March 1st last year. The good news on this slide is we're about 165,000 acre-feet more than we were this time last year. I am happy to report that at the end of last month, we reached a full level at Arbuckle, and we're in the process of hold there at full and looking at all the instruments and making sure that the reservoir is performing as we expect it to. And to date, it is performing well and within the parameters and guidelines that we were looking for it to perform in. We'll do some more testing over the coming months, and with a goal of trying to get that thing kind of into the portfolio of water supplies sometime in the summer. I will point out that that we still have a weak La Nina that continued this month. However, the Climate Prediction Center is forecasting that we're going to go to ENSO neutral, which is neither El Nino or La Nina, sometime in April. That's always a better spot to be for us than the La Nina, but it doesn't promise that all of a sudden the skies are going to open up. As a matter of fact, the CPC's precipitation outlook for March through May has increased odds of average to below normal rainfall for those months, and the temperature outlook looks like we're going to average warmer than normal. So those forecasts may change in April because of the warming of the waters and the changing to the ENSO neutral, but Bob will let us know when that happens. That's all for me. Do you have any questions for me?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You'd mentioned Arbuckle and it's full. I think you said something about maybe being able to dispatch that maybe this summer. Is that correct?
When we tested everything and we're comfortable it's going to operate, then yes, sir, we can put it into action sometime this summer.
Okay. So we don't have to wait for another water management plan to actually start dispatching that water?
No, we can use it, and,
Okay.
and there were guidelines within this the water management plan that we're operating under.
Okay.
That we're anticipating an Arbuckle coming online, and it'll certainly be a topic, I'm sure, in the water management plan update, which we're starting to have our meetings with our participants tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think one thing, Mr. Chairman, and Kelly used this word a moment ago, is important. It's part of the portfolio. So as we and Kelly determine operationally, we don't just send water from Arbuckle per se. It's when they pull the levers and where they need to send water to in the system. Can you unpack that a little bit and how we will look at managing that?
Sure. So we're turned off for ag in the lower basin for Lakeside and Gulf Coast and Pierce Ranch. So we won't be providing water from Arbuckle this year for them. But we have industrial customers on the Gulf Coast system that we can provide water to out of Arbuckle. We have environmental requirements for the bay that the way things work now, if it looks like we're going to be short to the bay, we start releasing water middle of the month from the Highland Lakes just to have time to get it delivered to the bay. When we're sitting with water in Arbuckle, we're a whole lot closer and can respond a lot quicker and don't have to make those releases so far in advance of the end of the month where we might have some rain come up and Mother Nature take care of us already, and we've already passed the water from the Highland Lake. So it gives us a lot more flexibility for even when ag is turned off, to be able to meet some of the needs of the lower basin.
Yeah, and to that point, you mentioned the industrial users. So if we have more firm-type customers come into play in the lower basin, then we would have met that obligation somewhere for a firm customer. We're able to use Arbuckle in lieu of, much like the environmental flows Kelly talked about, to meet that obligation. So they can, like the 2 or 3 big industrial customers have there already, we use the canal system for dispatch on that, and they get water in a firm right.
And they get it quicker.
Yeah, they get it quicker too.
How long does it take?
Yes, sir.
On an annual basis, what's the total capacity we think we can run through?
Was supposed to hold 90,000 acre feet. It holds 40, and then it turns over a little more than twice. So that's the throughput based on rainfall and expectation we have when we built it.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And right now, if we wanted to start supplying some of this water to the commercial users down below it, what kind of demand would there be for it right now? Is that a fair question?
Yeah, is it 20 or so plus HIF? Yeah, without HIF. Yeah, without HIF, because they're not fully built out to start taking water yet, it's about 20,000 acre feet a year of our 2 existing customers, plus or minus. It's not exactly that, but that's OQ Chemicals and Markham Underground Services, and then HIF is another 13-ish. So,
Okay, thank you.
yes, sir.
What is the transit time from that reservoir to the bay? About 3
Oh.
days or something, or?
I don't know exactly, but it's got to be days, a couple of days at most.
Right.
It's pretty close. And it depends on, what the flow is in the river already, but
Right.
it's going to be a lot. Right now, it's probably 7 days to get down to Bay City from the Highland Lakes.
Right.
Well, and we also lose
Lose a lot of
quite a
that.
bit of that water
Yeah.
to evaporation and subsidence in the transit
Yeah.
transit
Yes, sir.
of that water down to the lower basin. So this is I think, great news story. What a cause for celebration here. We've are finally able to dispatch Arbuckle, and it's been a long process. I know we started talking about this in 2010, and we're finally at the point where we can actually do something with this reservoir, and it's going to be a huge addition to our system. And Phil and I were talking about this the other day. If we started this today, it would probably cost at least double what we spent on this. And it was an expensive project, don't get me wrong, but if we were starting this today, it would cost us hundreds of millions of dollars more than what we spent on it. So it's a very good news story.
Yeah, and even the speed of time, I was on a panel with Brazos River Authority on Monday. We'll talk about it in a bit. And they've been trying to do Allen's Creek for a long time, and they had issues with the city of Houston, which made it really, really complicated. They started talking about Allen's Creek in the late 1970s, and they're now just the engineering spec side of that. So in water world, to get this done in 10 years for us and have it full now and pass testing and be able to hopefully sell that water and use it for industrial users and ag when the time is right. Extraordinary job by the entire team, and we thank for the board's leadership and support. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Do those look-back accidental losses from releases from the lakes, as you mentioned, you could get a rain before it got there,
Yes, sir.
and evaporation, was that part of the equation of the 90,000 acre feet, or?
Yes,
is-
yes, sir.
factored in?
It's 90,000 working as a system, not working just by, if you just look at it, what can it do by itself?
Yeah.
It's probably less than 90,000. I don't know what that number is. But when you look at it in the system of water rights, run a river, storage, everything we have, it brings 90,000 acre feet more to the supply equation.
So that included a look back at those scenarios I mentioned?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I mean, it's included in the modeling.
Got it. Okay.
And we're expanding the hydrology for the water management plan to add some of the more recent hydrology, and we'll go back and look at that again and make sure things haven't changed.
I guess besides the 20,000, you'll try to factor in what the environmental flows instead of the 17,000 a month coming, whatever, that'll be factored in, and then try to figure out what's left over if there is in order
Yes, sir.
to market the rest of it in a certain way. Is that
Yes, sir.
correct? So we just have, I guess we have to still worry about the middle basin as far as some flows at some point, but that'll be part of the modeling.
It all plays together, that's correct.
And then Kelly's used the word system. So we treat it like a system, and you have obligations you have to meet otherwise to get more than, which is great.
Well, I'd point out that we released 8,200 acre feet from Lake Travis for environmental flows. If a good portion of that can be handled by Arbuckle, it certainly helps our system, and it certainly helps the Highland Lakes.
Yes,
Keeps
sir.
water higher.
Exactly.
And Run River, yeah,
Yep.
that's not captured.
Okay.
So I have another question.
Yes, sir.
I've always thought that taking the high salinity water down on the coast and replacing some of our obligations for environmental flows and run-of-the-river flows was a great option. Where do we stand on moving forward with that?
Thanks, John Hoffman.
Glad you asked that question. So we stand at a really challenging time with respect to our friends in the groundwater conservation districts down there, where for whatever reason they consider water provided for avian wildlife differently than they do for aquatic wildlife. And so if we are, for example, approaching them with a proposal to be able to use brackish groundwater to be able to augment habitat for something like waterfowl, that's deemed appropriate. If we want to approach them with water supply for aquatic species, in particular things like shrimp and redfish and crabs and that sort of thing, the groundwater district does not think that that's allowable under the law. So right now what we're going to do is divert our ideas around piloting this to prove the science of it to utilizing some of our wet weather canals and some of our existing relationships with farmers to basically demonstrate that this is a valid scientific concept that has very net positive benefits for our wildlife in the lower basin. And then we're going to take another run at it. And it may very well be that we need to look at a potential change in law for this to be able to be allowed. We think it's allowed under the current law, but there's some discrepancy about that. It's
So
frustrating.
that was my next question. So that's their interpretation of law.
Correct.
That's always questionable, right?
Well,
Okay, are we standing in line to get that changed?
To challenge their position? No, we're not at this time.
Not yet.
we do have some other litigation on the groundwater front, and the same lawyers involved there.
I see. I saw him last week, yeah. Okay, thank
We
you.
can probably go into executive session, litigation update, and talk about that. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, any other questions on water? Boy, Kelly, you didn't think it was going to last this long, I bet.
That's fine.
Everybody's
I did have
interested in
a little
water.
bit of good news apparently, so.
Yep. Oh. That is very good news. And congratulations on the grandchild.
Thank you.
Okay, get back on our agenda, and item 6 is going to be postponed until April because we do not have 12 directors here, so we can't vote on that. Brings us to contract and contract changes. Mr. Chavez. And boy, we got some doozies today.
That we do. Today, we'll be requesting the board's approval of 9 items. I'll run through each of these and then be happy to answer any questions you have. The first 4 contracts with Irby Construction, Power Standard, Sabre Power, and Burns and McDonald will provide transmission line substation and construction services used by LCRA's Transmission Service Corporation. LCRA facilitated an extremely competitive event reviewing qualifications from over 21 providers, receiving competitive proposals from 10 pre-qualified suppliers, and then ultimately selecting these 4 companies as the best evaluated. This is LCRA's largest category of spend. In aggregate, across these 4 contracts, we are asking for approval for amount not to exceed $2 billion. And just to note, there's also 2 additional providers we use for construction for energized work with KVP and Pike Energy. The next contract is with Zappalac Reed Construction Company and provides construction services for the new 40,000 square foot multi-use office building at the Dao Chow Service Center to support increasing staff and labor needs. Supply Chain is requesting to award Zappalac with a not-to-exceed value of $25 million. And then the next 4 items are contract changes. This first contract change with Lockwell provides steel lattice towers used by LCRA's transmission line projects. Due to projected contract expenditures that are anticipated to increase due to various reasons, including one of LCRA's suppliers halting its lattice business, tariff impacts, and additional projects where lattice structures are specified, Supply Chain is requesting an additional $90 million to this contract, bringing the total not-to-exceed value up to $130 million. The second contract change with Hyundai Electric Corporation provides power and auto transformers. Over the past several months, you've approved additional suppliers, which have added additional capacity to meet our growing transformer need. This contract with Hyundai remains our #1 transformer provider, providing excellent quality transformers and extremely competitive price. Through the long-term relationship that we've established with Hyundai, we have been able to secure reservations and production capacity out through 2031 without committing any financial obligation. We are recommending extending the term of the Hyundai contract to a total of 11 years to leverage that competitive terms and conditions we've established, and to continue utilizing them for our needs through 2032. Supply Chain is requesting the board approve an additional $200 million for this contract, bringing the total not-to-exceed value to $320 million. The third contract change with Tesco provides telecommunication equipment for networking, microwave, fiber, cabling, and related materials for LCRA's telecommunication system. Due to expected higher use of this contract to support the new private long-term Evolution wireless broadband network, Supply Chain is requesting an additional $13 million, bringing the total contract value to $20 million. And for the final contract change with McGriff Insurance Services, provides property casualty insurance brokerage services to cover one more renewal cycle prior to us resourcing this in fiscal year 26. Supply Chain is requesting an additional $10 million, bringing this total not-to-exceed contract value to $44 million. I know I ran through those quickly, and this is a lot of money, so happy to answer any questions you have at this time.
Well, the only thing I can say is I guess it looks like lack of supply and inflation are real.
Yeah, now, Director Cooper, one thing the team has done a very proactive job on, and very proud of their efforts, is we have really diversified our vendor pool. So you can tell the work that Matt just went through with these 4 different suppliers on the construction and build and activities associated with that, and plus the 2 other that are working hot. As we've had this growth, we're spending $1 billion a year on our transmission side of the house, which is our new normal, I believe. It was really critical for us to have as many participants as possible to spread that work out, to de-risk this as much as we could, to be able to have a competitive environment. I believe that our supply chain team, under Matt's leadership, working with Jim, has done a really nice job of that, and you can see that there's a lot of different work for a lot of different people. And this is a small universe of companies, by the way, too. So to have that many companies involved in our opportunities, I think is very significant and leads to a successful endeavor. So kudos to Matt and the guys.
Yep. You've done a great job. I know it's a very challenging environment out there, especially in your world, so, anyway, just a comment, not a criticism, please.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, it just goes to show the growth of our system also.
Yes, sir.
In all different directions, and it's just amazing. I've been on this board a long time, and this is the largest capital spend that we will have approved. So, and this is definitely hits Bobby's level.
Bobby, we had to get Bobby teed up last night at the restaurant. I mean, we got to hit him prepped, you know. It's rough.
Y'all ready?
We are ready for the motion.
I move we authorize the general manager as designee to negotiate and execute these contracts and contract changes we just discussed.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second? All right, second. All right, any other questions on all these, I think it's about $2.3 billion or something like that.
Zero. We gotta get zero.
It's a big number, $250 million. Let's just,
2,504,000,000.
wow, wow. Okay, great. All right, so, any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Good job, Bobby.
All right, way to go, Bobby.
Thank you, Matt.
You got our checkbook.
Spending somebody else's money.
Okay, we do have a need to go into executive session, which we'll do so at this time. We'll go into executive session of the LCRA Board of Directors pursuant to sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.076, 551.086, 551.089, and 418.183F of the Texas Government Code. Today's date is Wednesday, March 26, 2025, and the time is 11:50. We have concluded the executive session of the LCRA Board of Directors. Now return to open session. Today's date is Wednesday, March 26, 2025, and the time is 12:53. I guess we're just going to recess the meeting, correct? We're not going to adjourn. Okay, so we will now go into recess so we can have our lunch, and we will reconvene in the board conference room, and will not be streaming, and we will adjourn right after lunch.